Well, hello, and welcome to the Tea with Tea. Today, I'm going to be talking about emotional intelligence and being able to control your emotions. I feel like a lot of people emphasize the importance of being able to communicate with other people and how other people will perceive and understand you, which is a form of emotional intelligence. Being able to pick up on other people's emotions and how they react to things to then better determine how to communicate with them. But what about with yourself? What about communicating with yourself? What about learning how to best treat yourself and talk to yourself? That is a very important form of emotional intelligence, if not the most important. Because if you don't know how to communicate with yourself, you're not ever going to be able to effectively communicate with anybody else. If you're always talking down on yourself or being negative, then that's what's going to radiate out into the world, and that's how people are going to treat you. But if you treat yourself well, talk to yourself positively, and encourage yourself, then that is what you're going to get from other people as well, because that is the energy that is radiating out into the world from you. Whatever is coming from you is what will come back to you, and that's just with energy in general. So once you are self-aware enough to understand what you need and how you need to communicate with yourself, then you're able to better understand how you need to communicate with others on an individual basis, because everybody's different. You need to communicate with everybody differently. Yes, there is a general sense of how you can communicate with the masses, which is what content creators do. They're communicating with a mass amount of people and they're able to hold their attention. So yes, there is a general basis of how to communicate with people, but it's also still different for every creator and who their audience is, who they're pinpointing towards, and it changes even within that specific group of people. It changes over time because people change over time. So it becomes a lot to keep up with, especially as a creator or someone who speaks to many people, masses of people. But once you become self-aware enough and have the emotional intelligence to be able to pick up on your own emotions as well as other people's, then you're able to control your emotions. So if someone says something that would typically trigger you, you're able to catch that and say, you know what? I'm not going to react. I'm going to refrain from reacting in this moment because it is not appropriate for me to outwardly express how I'm feeling inside in this moment. And so, not repressing your feelings and not allowing your feelings to come out at all, you wait until a later time, maybe when you're at home or you're in your car on your way home, whatever it may be. At a more appropriate moment, you let those emotions out, whether it's anger, frustration, sadness, whether you want to cry or scream, whatever it is, you let that out at a later moment. Because in the moment, when the trigger is happening, whatever the situation is that caused you to feel trigger is happening, is not always the best moment to react. Most of the time is not the best moment to react. And that's why I've said this before, it is better to respond rather than react. Because when you respond, it's not coming from an emotional standpoint. Reacting is coming from an emotional standpoint. So once you learn to control your emotions enough to be able to refrain from expressing your emotions in one moment and then allowing yourself to express those emotions in a different moment, you have all the power. You need nothing more than that. And this is something I'm still working on. This is something I've learned and I've seen as I've been able to improve in my emotional intelligence and my response versus reacting. It's immensely changed my life, and I've seen it change other people's lives. And it's just like, I don't even know how to truly express the importance of controlling your emotions. Because if you look at life as if it were a simulation, we were in some type of computer generated thing, then the emotion controls you because it is part of the programming. But once you realize that you're within the simulation, then you're able to get control of the emotion and not let it control you. Just like Prince said, get on the computer, don't let the computer get on you. I'm not sure if that was his exact wording, but you get the point. It's you don't want to let your programming control you, because your triggers, your emotional responses are from your previous programming, from experiences that you've had that cause you to feel certain emotions, that cause you to react certain ways. Once you realize that, you're able to control your emotions and refrain from reacting and instead respond accordingly to whatever situation it may be. And then later, when you're in the comfort of your own home or around people who you know you can trust and care about you and will comfort you, then you allow yourself to feel those emotions and actually work through whatever it is that caused that trigger. That is one of the most powerful things you can have as a human being, is control over your emotions. All the billionaires, all the successful people in the world, they have control over their emotions most of the time. Obviously, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all go through things. And honestly, the public is very hard on celebrities and things whenever they go through stuff. The thing is we all go through stuff. It's just not on camera. And so you're criticizing these people who are just like us at their core. We're all human. We're all the same. We all come from the same creator, the same energy source. And yet you're judging them for going through something on camera when you probably go through the same exact thing or something similar and react similarly. It's just not on camera. So that's also something, and I know that's completely unrelated, but that's also something, if you do that, you need to look inside. You need to look in the mirror because you're judging them for a reason. Because when you look at life and always come from a place of love, you are never going to pass judgment on someone else because you don't know what it's like, what they're going through, and you don't know why they're reacting the way that they are. So the best thing that you can always do is look at life and people and everything from a place of love. Then you will not judge. Yes, you may still have judgmental thoughts pop up, but you simply tell yourself you're wrong. I may see someone down the street who is my size and wearing skin tight clothes and judge them for that and be like, that's not appealing, whatever. But that's because I don't have that kind of confidence, because I'm not willing to walk around like that, because I don't think my body is appealing. She obviously does, or else she wouldn't be doing it. So I'm only judging because there's something within me that I need to solve or fix. That's the only reason you judge, is because there's something within yourself that needs to be addressed and adjusted. Okay, that was like a side tangent. Anyways, I mean, it all kind of ties in together. That's the thing. It's all connected. Everything's connected. So your judgment is connected to your emotional intelligence and your ability to control your emotions. Because if you can control your emotions, then you're not going to be judging other people for whatever it is that they may do. Like even the worst thing possible. Let's say the worst thing possible that you think someone could do is murder someone, right? Awful, terrible. You would never do it. You don't support it in any way, shape, or form in any circumstance. That is the worst thing you can do, is murder someone. But by you passing judgment, not saying that murder is right, because I do not support murder. If you pass judgment on someone who did commit murder, then again, there's something within you that needs to be addressed. Because you're not going to pass judgment. You're going to acknowledge that the fact that what they did is wrong and they should not have done that based on your moral standards and everything. But if you're judging them, then there's something within yourself that needs to be addressed, and you need to figure that out. Because judgment only comes from a place of lack or from a place of trauma. You have triggers that cause you to judge people for doing and saying certain things. There's always something behind that judgment. Judgment is not just something we as humans naturally do. It's something we're almost taught to do. We're taught to judge other people because we want people to live the way that we would live and believe the things that we believe. It's all part of the programming. And maybe it's simply that. Maybe your judgment comes from the programming. As simple as that. And once you realize that the belief system and the way you live your life is based on a programming that was instilled in us as children, then you're able to pull yourself away from that and start to live a life that's true to you, believing what you truly believe and not because someone else told you it's what you should believe. And that should be the goal, in my opinion, is to live a life that's true to you and always be true to yourself and to your morals, not to what everybody else tells you should believe and what their morals are. Everybody's different. And it's all connected to emotional intelligence, to being able to communicate with others, to being able to control your emotions. It's all connected. And I guess that's why I keep going on these side tangents about it. But the importance of being able to control your emotions is the difference of being an NPC and being your true self. Because I believe if you live in and by the program, you're an NPC. You're a non-player character. You're just going by, living your everyday life just like they tell you you're supposed to, because you're a part of the program. You're an NPC. So if you want to truly be who you really are and do what resonates most with you and what brings you the most joy and makes you the most happy, you can't be an NPC. You can't do both. You have to become emotionally intelligent enough to understand yourself, your triggers, your trauma, all of that, and then be able to recognize when you are triggered so you can respond rather than react, and then allow yourself to feel those feelings and work through them at a better time. I feel like I'm just repeating the same things over and over again, but I feel like some people understand certain things in different ways. So I could say the same thing, the same one thing in 13 different ways, and 13 different people will understand it in those 13 different ways, but won't understand it in the other ways, if that makes sense. everyone understands things differently. So I like to say things in multiple different ways. This goes back to being able to learn how to communicate with people, because everyone understands things differently. Like, there were things that I've heard for years, for over a decade. I've been hearing this information and it's just now clicking in my brain. I'm just now understanding it because it was said in a certain way that allowed me to truly understand it, to truly hear it. So that's another thing with communicating with people. It's different for everybody. So when someone doesn't understand something and you get frustrated and you're like, I don't want to repeat myself, you shouldn't get frustrated or be worried about repeating yourself. It's more of the person is asking you because they want to understand. And if you are reacting in a way of getting frustrated and aggravated, then there's something that you need to address with that. Because when someone truly wants to understand what you're saying and asks you to repeat yourself, it's not because they didn't hear what you said the first time, it's that they don't understand in the way that you said it. So you need to say it in a different way in order for them to better understand. And then maybe you may have to say it a dozen times for them to truly actually grasp what it is you're saying. Just because everyone communicates differently, everyone understands things in a different way than the next person. So don't get frustrated with that. Actually, you should be thankful that someone actually wants to take the effort to truly understand what you're saying to them. And when you get frustrated and say, I don't want to repeat myself, that's actually you rejecting the situation. That's you rejecting their want and ability to understand what it is you're saying. So instead of being frustrated that, oh, no one ever understands me, maybe put in the effort to try and get them to understand you. And of course, there's a balance to everything. There are people who will never understand no matter how many different ways you say it. And so you just have to use your discretion as to how much energy and effort to put into it. And that comes back to the intelligence part. When you are intelligent enough to pick up on certain things, certain energy frequencies, because some people are literally there just to suck your energy from you. So if they're just sitting there continuously asking you to repeat yourself and provoke you into that frustration, they're not there to actually understand. They're just there to piss you off. They're an NPC, you know. And it just, I keep going off on these side tangents, but I hope that I've made my point. Emotional intelligence and being able to control your emotions is extremely important. And the way that you do it is by being self-aware enough to recognize when you are triggered, when you are feeling certain things, and being able to control your emotions and your reactions so that way you can respond the way that is actually needed for said situation, whatever situation you may be in, and then allow yourself to feel those emotions at a later, safer time. Because when we react, let's say someone comes up to you and is like, oh, I'm gonna fight you, that may trigger something in you that wants you to react as in, okay, let's fight. When you could avoid that situation altogether if you're just calm and it's like, yo, why do you want to fight me? Let's talk about this. A lot of the times that will provoke the person to get more frustrated, but depending on the situation and the person, obviously you have to use your discretion. It may actually cause them, even though they may be more frustrated, to back off physically and not want to physically hurt you or fight you because you're not reacting in a way of being physical towards them. So it's like this balance, this energy, like it's really all about reading the energy and what energy you put out in order to receive back. It all starts with your self-awareness and your ability to read situations and energy and your discretion on how to respond to each situation. I don't know if any of what I said made any sense or will make any sense to anyone, but this is my podcast. I just go on rants about random things that I feel passionate about, that I feel other people need to hear, or someone, even just one person out there needs to hear this in the way that I said it in order to open their mind a little bit or to help them, progress in their life, whatever it may be. So thank you for sticking around and listening. I hope that this has shed some sort of light or been helpful even in the smallest way to someone. And comment, let me know, what are your thoughts? Are you emotionally intelligent with yourself? Are you able to pick up on your triggers and respond instead of react? And all these things, like, let me know. I want to hear from people. Even just one comment means so much to me. So anyways, thank you to everyone who listens or watches my podcast, me just ranting about life and my knowledge, my experience, just trying to spread love and kindness to the world. Anyways, I love you, love yourself, and let's grow together.